Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back. Welcome to. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. Today is Thursday, May 8th, 2025. In today's video, we're going to be going over Bitcoin real quick. What am I watching? Bitcoin's dominance, but primarily all of the altcoins. I'm going to start with Solana. Shout out to one of my main supporters, Rosa, from the start. Solana XRP. I like Doge. I'll go over Ethereum. Maybe I'll go over one more after that. But first off, this is not financial advice, right? This is a window to my thought process. I've been doing this for 17, 18 years. I've been investing and trading crypto for literally 11 years. I've experienced multiple cycles, halvenings, etc., etc. And because of that, I've formed thick skin to the news and the bullshit. It's that simple. And I trust charts over people, long-term charts over short-term trends, the whole nine. I have rules that I'm trying to install into your brain so that you would have the same thought process as me when we were looking at the charts here, April 4th. And I made that video, if you remember me saying, I do see something playing out in the chart. I see bullish divergence playing out on the midterm time frames, and it's nothing to play around with, right? So we are here. The first thing is this has just begun. The reason why I say that is all the stars are aligning. Your money flow indicator that I have been using every once in a while, I've been confluencing it with the other indicators to help me understand if we're having a fake out or a breakout. So I use multiple indicators. I like to use an 11 and 21 day moving average. I like to use a MACD, an RSI, stochastic RSI, and then sometimes the money flow depending on the situation. Certain things that I notice that are very bullish are playing out right now. First thing, you would like to see your MACD, which is a momentum indicator, golden cross, which is when your shorter time goes above your longer time frame, the blue over the yellow, above the histogram. That shows me that the next couple of candles that could potentially play could look like something like this, could look like something like this, could look like something like this, could look like something like this. And if you look at the price action in the past, we went from 67 to 100. We went from 42 to 72. We went from 26 to 43, right? Now, same thing with the RSI. RSI tells you if the asset is extremely overbought, if it's close to the 70 or above, or if it's extremely oversold, if it's below the 50 to the 30. There are multiple sections that I look for to see if the asset is forming waves here, forming waves here, forming waves here, forming waves here. This is the most bullish. This is very good as well. This is bad. This is horrible. Depending on what you're doing, if you're investing long-term, day trading, scalp trading, you need to look at different time frames. I'm done day trading, scalp trading. I am at the point in my life I'd rather use more money, less trades. Once again, beautiful trade from one trade, right? One trade from 79 to 80,000. I told everyone once we go back into this trend right here, right? This was the previous trend for a very long time that I mentioned in the last video. We were forming a top all the way from November till February 2005, right? This is the top that I was talking about. This was your resistance at 105. This was your support at 91. We broke below, right? You could see my indicator going off showing that the market bottom indicator on a weekly time frame went off once, twice, three times on a 3-day, right? You can't just look at one time frame. On the 3-day, we formed the double bottom. Golden cross, RSI above 50, stochastic above 50, money flow above 50. All those aligned, once again, perfect long. If anyone listened to me and opened up a long, do me a favor, put it in the comment section. I appreciate that. So now, what am I watching? Well, the first thing that I'm watching is as we inch closer to these green lines up here of 102 to 104, I'm watching all the indicators that I just told you about, right? Stochastic, if it breaks above the 80, it's the most bullish thing possible, right? RSI, we are above the moving average. We are heading up towards the 70. The only thing that I am noticing is the past two waves have formed lower highs, right? One down, two down. We fell back to that security pocket that I told you guys. I trust trends over people. So now what I'm seeing is the window of opportunity potentially getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If we do go up, right now, at this point, nothing has happened yet. We're still on an uptrend. This is where speculation comes in, where you have to say, if this happens, okay, I need to do this. If this happens, okay, I need to do that. So the first thing you need to do is probably set an alert, right? Because you could see here resistance, right? Support, resistance, resistance. So there's going to be a level where you need to set an alert to understand that either poo-poo's hitting the fan and the run for Bitcoin is over, or not over, but a consolidation is potentially on the horizon, right? Because nothing positive happens when your RSI is going down. But we're still in section A, which is when the RSI would be above the 50 and below the 70. That's still bullish for potential even consolidation and another run to the upside. As of right now, we have room to grow. So what I'm going to do is set an alert here, right? I'm going to put it right underneath the bottom of this wave here at the 66.41 on the weekly chart, 66.24. Doesn't matter. It's below this wave, right? I want to know once Bitcoin hits there, where the price is. If the price is forming a red candle or wicks, like wicks here, that at the same levels at the 102 to the 104 and maybe a greedy level of the 105, then I potentially might close my long position that has been open since the 70, 80,000. Next, the first thing that we are looking at after that is BTC.D. What is this? This is Bitcoin's dominance chart. It has been on an absolute tear, cuzzy, since December 2022. When I do futures, I only try to trade Bitcoin. There's just too many variables in trading alts. You need to see if your alt versus Bitcoin's going up while Bitcoin's going up while the dominant. It's just like way too much going on. So, but you do need to understand it. As of right now, because of Bitcoin's dominance on an absolute tear, profit from alts have been going back to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been outperforming alts, right? Once this chart tops, okay, and you can see we've topped previously around, number one here, right, 64. There's always levels, right? So what I'm looking for is I go to a monthly chart, 2-month chart, and I'm looking for market structure changes in candle patterns. So you can see here, major reversal candle at the 64.86, where we are now. We've broken that. You can see the wick also brought us up to this level here, which was also another key level, 71%. Why did we stop here? Why did we wick here? Why did we stop here? Why did we stop here and see the market top indicator go off? I don't know, but you have to identify those levels. There is still room to grow for Bitcoin's dominance to go from this 64 to 71%. Once again, set an alert. I'll probably set an alert the midway right here at 67.25, where it went from support to resistance. Some traders like to use 6 levels. I like to use 3. So boom, right? So we've broken one. I'm going to set an alert here at the 67.25. I'm curious, I'll put it right above maybe 67.50. I am curious to see if we break above that and then Bitcoin's dominance is heading to its peak level. I keep saying June, July being that time frame. It's just, I don't know why it happens all the time. I like to find trends and bet with trends. So June, July, I'm sticking to my guns. We'll see what happens today with Trump talking to the UK. I'm curious if potentially Feds lower rates in the summer and potentially if the tariff nonsense is cooled down by then, right? If Bitcoin's going up, let's just take a step back because I've been talking to a lot of people. A lot of people asking me, what's going on? What's happening? What's your opinion? Here's my opinion, right? We've been going up, and yet the boogeyman variables are still there. So what happens when the boogeyman variables aren't there, right? Give you an example. Bitcoin went from, went from 77, let's just say 75,000 back to 100,000, and the tariffs still aren't lifted and they're still there, right? Feds still haven't lowered rates. So when those two things happen, I think potentially that's when we break out of this 103 to 105 and potentially head to, this is where you use your good old fib. I would go from the most recent high down to the low, put a default, and yeah. So once again, waves, right? Potentially we go up, stop, form another higher low, and then I do see us going to, let's just say the 120 to the 130 level. That could be like the all-time high. One thing that I also want to see is the monthly chart. If you guys remember, I've been saying for the longest time, let's delete everything, the monthly RSI. I was debating in my own head if this was over a couple of days ago. The reason being is I saw that the monthly RSI was getting a little bit rejected by the RSI moving average. If that would have happened, the run would have been over, and would have been talking about 120,000. Because we have done this right here, and we have broken above, that shows me that the original technical analysis theory that I told you has a very high probability of playing out now. So what I mean by that is, if you remember me saying we formed lower highs but higher lows, and what that shows me is there's room, right? Whenever like this was the perfect time to buy, right? Because there was a ton of room to grow back to resistance. This is the perfect time to open up your short because there's a ton of room to go back to support. As you inch closer to the pocket that I think we're going to see rejection at, your window of opportunity gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and this is where you need to understand your risk reward, right? As of right now, if you were to open up a long position, your risk is coming back down here, 7%. Your reward is going back up here, about 10%. Let's just say here, right? The bottom of support will always be resistance. The bottom of resistance will always be support, right on the way up. So even if you were to go here, right at the top of this little breakdown, you're looking at a risk of 7%, a reward of 9%. It's like, eh. Meanwhile, if you would have grabbed your huevos and did it back here, now you're looking at a 15% and a 2% risk. You understand? But room to grow. So step one and wall of resistance one is the 70 line. Right? You could clearly see we're going to see resistance at the 70. Is that the 102 to the 105? Potentially. Then I would like to see it do something like this and break out over here when we're at the 115 to the 120. If I see that we're seeing resistance here and we're at 120, 130, and the news comes out, it's been very quiet, right? Like Michael Saylor buys, or this is thinking of this to happen, and this could happen, and this maybe, and okay. Nothing changes until we break this resistance here. All right, what I mean by that, is it a possibility that we break up? Of course. Do we? I don't think so. The reason why I say that is the past couple of waves on the RSI have been forming hidden bearish, right? The waves are making lower highs. It was neglected a little bit because your MACD did make a higher high, but I'm curious now if the RSI on the weekly makes, again, another lower high, right? Like I told you, over here somewhere. And I'm curious if the MACD makes a lower high on its indicator, right? Somewhere over here again. Let's just say it comes up and stops here at the 8,300 to the 9,500 and doesn't break the 94 to the 10,000, but once again forms a higher high on the price. That shows me like the ice is cracking, right? And you have to play safe, and you should be taking profit instead of buying, right? I was explaining to this one of my close friends the other day, excuse me. We don't chase green candles, cuzzy, right? We buy at support so that we have the opportunity to take profit at resistance, right? And he was like, should I put more money into the Bitcoin long? I'm like, no, you should put your money back into the XRP long that we opened up, because that trend hasn't popped off yet. Same thing with Doge and everything else. So I don't want to go too much into Bitcoin. I've been talking about it for almost 10, 15 minutes now. I do think there is a little bit room to grow. I've gone over everything that I will be watching and setting alerts for. Once again, still looks great. We just golden cross. We should have a couple of weeks of green momentum. The first thing that I'm looking for a crack in the ice is the stochastic indicator, the stochastic RSI. I want to see if it has a death cross above the 80 or if we have a death cross above the 80 and break down. That's like step one. In order for this to break down, your RSI, which is the blue, needs to break below the moving average, which is the yellow, to show that the trend is changing. And then we also need to see a potential death cross, not a golden cross. So we would need to see volume start to come down. You'd want to see your your shorter time frame moving average break below the longer. And once again, we're just at the start of the bullish side of this, right? So that's Bitcoin. Let's go into Solana. I was telling the Discord a while ago, like, dude, these alts look like they're about to blow up. And the reason why I say that is it's the same lingo, right? Are we on the cusp of having a golden cross? Is your RSI on the cusp of breaking the 50 and breaking into the bullish territory? Is your stochastic above the 50? Is your money flow above the 50? As of right now, we're about to have a golden cross, but it's below the zero line. Bullish, but we potentially might not break this high here of 174 until your MACD breaks the zero line. Your RSI is always your first mover between the MACD and the RSI, and you can see here, what did I just tell you? When you break below the moving average, you're bearish. What you want to see is a break above. We formed the higher low above the moving average, and now we're heading towards like the promised land. Once we break the 50 and do something like this, right, we stay above the moving average, we stay above the 50, this might have potentially another 2-3 weeks to play out to prove itself, because as of right now, it hasn't broken the 50. I would probably set an alert on the weekly time frame at the 50.20, notifying me that it is time to officially open up the long. If you do open up the long, I'd probably put my liquidation price below here at like 132, whatever leverage that is. If it's, let's just say 10x or 5x or 15x, what you do is you play with the leverage to see what your liquidation price is going to be. A 2x, 3x will probably be a liquidation price of like 103. I don't think we go back down to that. Worst case scenario, 125, but I don't think that plays out as well. I think the trend is changing on a lot of these coins. What you should watch is SOLBTC to see if this chart's about to pop off as well. You want to see a confluence between your Solana Bitcoin and your Solana dollar. As of right now, you're below the zero line and you're below the 50. Stochastic is just breaking, but your money flow is down here at the 21. Not the best scenario. I would potentially wait for this to form more bullish scenario and look literally like this, right? This is what I mean by Bitcoin's dominance holding true value. Bitcoin is going to go up. You know, if Bitcoin goes up, your alt's going to go up. But because Bitcoin's dominance is going up and Solana versus Bitcoin doesn't look great, when Bitcoin comes down, Solana will get hit harder. You understand? So Bitcoin might go down 2%, but Solana goes down 12%. When your altcoin is going up in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's going up, your alt has a double positive versus the dollar, and that's when that's when Bitcoin does 2% up, and then Solana does 17% up. Right? As of right now, it is not alt season technically, because alt season is when Bitcoin is going up, but Bitcoin's dominance is going down. So it's a double positive for your alt, because money's still going to Bitcoin and it's making the whole market go up, but money is actually going to your alt as well from Bitcoin's profit. So let me explain, right? People are buying Bitcoin for the first time. I've been buying Bitcoin since like $1,300, right? So my profit, I'm not looking to go back to the dollar. What I do is when my Bitcoin goes up right now, I have the opportunity to convert my profit to a coin that hasn't popped off yet. Hence, Doge, right? Look at Doge's chart, right? Hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, forming around the bottom, right? XRP. Hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, forming a bottom, right? We went to Doge Solana, right? Forming a bottom. Hasn't popped off, hasn't popped off, about to pop off, hasn't popped off. Once you see golden cross above the 50, above the 50, above the 50, that's when we're breaking 175, we're retesting 198, we're retesting 216, we're retesting 243. Not my opinion. You want to see it in the past play out? Here, right there. MACD above, RSI above, stochastic above, money flow above. Solana was going down. You can see the waves 199, 108, 185, 117, 179, 111, 150, 117. Once this, and this all lined up, Solana went from 135 to 185, higher low to 153, higher high to 256, higher low to 181, higher high to until death cross, RSI below, stochastic below, money flow below. This is what I mean by forming a script, forming a bot that allows you to screen tickers. And this is why I made the bot. It screens the tickers to see when those things I just told you are playing out on multiple time frames. So it's not playing out right now. We're still below. We're breaking them, right? So it's step one. So that's why I'm like, it's good. I like it. Just make sure your liquidation price is in the 130s. So that's Solana. Let's do ADA. They're all going to look the same. They're all going to move the same, just a little bit different in the time frames. So what I mean by that is, let's just say one will look better than the other, right? Where's Tesla? Not Tesla. Tron. Tron has been looking great for the longest time. It popped up first, right? It popped up first. It went from 21 cents all to 26 cents while the whole market was doing nothing, right? Tron moved first. Now, Doge looks good, right? Algo, right? What are we looking for? I told everybody, I was like, yo, it's forming that bottom, cuzzy, right? We formed that higher low, right? This is what I'm looking for from here to here, here to here, here to here. Do we do something like this? Right? Do we follow this trend and potentially, let's make it neat, right? So what I did was like, okay, here to here, right? Here to here, right? Fib from here to here, and here's your levels, right? The 618 is going to be your key level, so going back to 43 cents to potentially 38 cents and 33 cents. Number one, this is your first level right here. I'm calling it right now, because that's where previous resistance was in the past. 27 cents to 30 cents. Right now, boom, make sure your liquidation price is here. So you're looking at a 45% return and a 13% risk. If it goes back to here, which is your next level, that's an 85% return, 13% risk. If it goes back to the wicks, that's 126% with a 13%. That's a 9.61 R&R. If it breaks that and goes to the next levels, here, right here, that is 244%. Back to, let's just say 77 cents, but I'm not playing that, right? Waves, my dude. If you could do the right leverage, the 13%, you might be able to get 7 to 10%, the 7 to 10x leverage on that. Let's go to AVAX. AVAX, what are we looking for? Weekly chart. Where are my indicators? I did not go to CoinDesk, Coin Market Cap, CNBC. No, I want to see, are we about to golden cross? Looks like we're forming a bottom. We're not going to break the $16 anymore. We're still in section B, which shows me we're not breaking this resistance of the $24 yet. RSI just broke out though, right? We formed that bottom, formed that one, the same, they're all forming the same thing. They broke out and they're breaking above. Once again, set your alert to 49 to see once you're breaking above the 50. Once you break above the 50, we're breaking $24 right here. Excuse me. Right, so here is support. Here is resistance. one level, second level, third level. So first take profit, let's do this right. Open up long here. Liquidation price and stop loss is going to be at 10% right below your most recent wicks here at 18.59. First take profit is anywhere from $25 to $26.50. You're looking at a 30% return and a 10% risk with a 3.03 R&R. Second level is going to be here. I saw these resistance levels here. I saw the bottom of the wicks here. Remember, what was support will turn into resistance. So if you have double confluence of something that was resistance and something that was support, clear range of liquidation right there. So your next level is going to be 61 to 68%, anywhere from $33 to $34 with a 6.99 R&R, and your greed level, which will probably line up with this resistance level, right? So high, lower high. If we make another lower high somewhere over here, 41 to $45, you're looking at a cool 105% to 125% with a 12.32 R&R. ADA, same thing. We formed a higher low, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Could be forming a rising wedge, but as of right now, what am I looking at? Indicators. This one looks a little bit better because we want to see which ones have the best structure first, right? So as I'm doing this, I'm mentally saying, this one's MACD was a little bit further below the zero line compared to this one, right? Once again, this is best case scenario. MACD above zero line, RSI above 50, sarcastic above 50. Money flow, we want to see it above 50. That's still good though. So ADA, right? It's forming that bottom. We're looking for a break of the RSI first, right? We want to see it break the 50, stay above section A. We want to see the stochastic not at the 26 and the 21. We want to see it head up and break the 50, not get rejected by the 50. That would show me that we potentially could have a run up and another run down, right? Like we could do this, stop at 77 cents, come down, form another higher low, form an ascending triangle, which has a measured move to the upside. Once we do break this, let's just say June, July, and then you break out to the 94 cents somewhere over here, and then you're officially above resistance because you're officially above zero, officially above the 50, officially above the 50, and officially above the 50. Now I want to explain something to you. When the money flow is above the 50 and the others are below, that shows that you have a lot of volume coming in and you have a very high probability of breaking to the upside. Ethereum, damn. Yeah, I mean, I called this the other day with my boy Connor. What am I looking for? MACD, worry about the golden cross, yes, but it's below the zero line, so it's in section B, which means we could have a run up and see resistance by the 2108. Your RSI is above your moving average, which is bullish, but it's below the 50 line, which is bearish, showing us that once again we could go up, but we could potentially form a double bottom, right? You could run up and then come back down. Just want to throw that out there. Hasn't proven itself yet, right? So let's do this. Stochastic, want to see it above the 50. Money flow, want to see it above the 50. This one, once again, open up the long here. I'd probably put my liquidation price here, 23%. This is early. I'm just giving you your risk reward levels. First level is going to be here. Once again, you can see bottom of the wicks lining up with the top of the wicks. So you're looking at an 8%. Then you're looking at here, 26% at 2,500, 2,800. Greed levels here, 75 to about 100%. They all seem to be looking around 75 to 125% depending on the play. That's the video. Love you guys. Hope you learned something from it. Once again, most important thing, where are the indicators? Are they above? Are they below? Blah, 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 blah. And then implementing that to your trading strategy. instead of listening to the news. Meaning, if I just told you overbought, oversold, if market structure changes, like if Ethereum's at 3,900, you're up 100%. It's very hard to take profit because once again, people get attached to these assets and the emotions start coming through. But if I start seeing the RSI breaking below the RSI moving average, if I see volume coming down on the MACD, if I see the stochastic death crossing and breaking the 80 line, if I see the money flow going from the 70 and breaking down, it's time to take a lot of profit off the table because you have potential to come back down. That's the video. Love you guys. Enjoy the day.